Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Wellness at Sea in Italy and Greece. My name is Desiree Shah, and I'm the Program and Marketing Assistant here at Times Journeys. During this webinar, you'll learn about our 8-day wellness cruise aboard Silversea's Silver Whisper, which takes you from Rome to Athens. Perhaps you want to kickstart a new wellness routine, learn the secrets of exercise or better aging, or gain insights into eating better. This cruise is a unique opportunity to relax, learn, and explore the world of wellness. We're here today with Tara Parker Pope, editor of Well, the New York Times acclaimed section on wellness, mindfulness, healthy eating, and aging, and Rebecca Cruz, program manager for groups and charters at Judy Pearl Worldwide Travel. Before we begin, why travel with the New York Times? First of all, each of our small group tours and cruises travels with Times journalists or subject matter expert. In addition to formal talks and Q&A sessions, your experts are there to lend their unique perspective to your trip. Their informative lectures are specifically designed to educate and inspire you and to bring to life the remarkable civilizations and cultures of the regions you visit. We offer small group tours and cruises, and you can choose from over 40 itineraries. We visit destinations as diverse as Kashmir, Iran, or Provence, and explore everything from history to culture to politics. Lastly, when you take a Times journey, you can escape the crowds with tours that include after-hours entrance to museums and access to attractions normally closed to the public. We'll go into the itinerary in more detail later on, but first I'll take you through a brief overview of the cruise. So your 8-day journey begins when you arrive in Rome on day 1 and board the Silver Whisper. After a morning at sea on day 2, you'll arrive in Lipari, the largest island in the Aeolian archipelago. Day 3 takes you to Trapani at the western tip of Sicily, and you'll spend the 4th day of your voyage in the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Valletta, Malta. Arrive in Syracuse on day 5, where you'll spend a full day. Day 6 takes you across the Ionian Sea, and you'll arrive in Scythian, Greece the next day. Your 8th and last day takes you to Athens, where you'll disembark. When you book this trip with Times Journeys, a number of elements are included in the cost of your cruise. You'll get 7 nights accommodations on board the luxurious Silver Whisper, all shipboard meals, including 24-hour room service, complimentary beverages, including wine and spirits, drinks, bottled water, and hot beverages are served throughout the ship. Times Journeys exclusive onboard events, including lectures, panels, Q&A, and cocktail parties with your Times experts that are only available to those booking through Times Journeys. Daily activities such as yoga, cooking lessons, meditation sessions, and the 9-minute workout sessions will all be available to Times Journeys travelers. And butler service, crew gratuities, and porterage are included as well. So the Wellness Cruise experience includes wellness-focused activities as well as fascinating lectures and discussions by your experts. On board, you'll attend panel discussions addressing the questions, what is wellness, how do we get it, and how do we keep it, and exploring motivation, asking what keeps people motivated across their lifespan. Expert lectures will look at topics such as how to have a better relationship, 5 things to know about olive oil, healthy aging starts now, countering loneliness, why should I move, and oh, my aching knee. And you'll also attend additional activities such as mindfulness sessions, yoga, and Q&A sessions with your experts. All of the lectures, panel discussions, and wellness activities are exclusive to Times Journeys guests and will not be available to other passengers on the ship. So now I'll hand it over to Rebecca, who will tell you more about your cruise ship, Silversea Silver Whisper.
Thanks, Desiree. The Silver Whisper welcomes up to 382 guests in 191 suites in a relaxing, sophisticated, and genuinely elegant atmosphere. Revel in the pampering treatments of an expanded wellness spa and enjoy an array of culinary options ranging from alfresco dining and authentic Italian cuisine to a Relais and Chateau 6-course experience. Public areas include luxury shopping boutiques, a panorama lounge offering beautiful ocean views, internet cafe, cigar spa and beauty salon, 2 libraries, outdoor pool deck, fitness center, casino, premium cigar room, 3 bars, and 4 restaurants. The Silver Whisper will undergo a refurbishment program that will be completed in December 2017, so the ship will be in pristine condition for this time's journey's departure next June. All suites on board the Silver Whisper include the following amenities: butler service, panoramic ocean views, all categories except the Vista suites feature a veranda balcony, full sitting area, marbled bathroom with double vanity, separate bathtub and shower, and European bath amenities, walk-in wardrobe and personal safe, refrigerator and minibar setup, premium mattresses with a choice of pillows, writing desk and stationery, flat screen TV, and unlimited complimentary Wi-Fi access for guests in the top 5 suite categories, and 1 hour complimentary Wi-Fi access per guest per day for guests in all other categories. In our group allocation, we have the following suite categories: the Grand Suites. They're located on deck 7 and can be sold as either a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom configuration. The second bedroom would be an adjoining veranda suite. The 1-bedroom suite is 1,090 square feet with a 116 square foot veranda. The 2-bedroom suite is 1,435 square feet with a 176 square foot veranda. The suite features a large teak veranda with patio furniture, separate dining area and bar, bathroom with a full-size whirlpool tub, and a separate powder room. Royal suites are located on deck 7 and can be sold as either a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom configuration. The second bedroom would be an adjoining veranda suite. The 1-bedroom suite is 1,007 square feet with a 116 square foot veranda. The 2-bedroom suite is 1,352 square feet with a 176 square foot veranda. The suite features a living room with sitting area, large teak veranda with patio furniture, separate dining area and bar, bathroom with a full-size whirlpool tub, and a separate powder room. Silver suites are located on deck 7 and are 653 square feet with a 110 square foot veranda. They feature a living room with sitting area, teak veranda with patio furniture, separate dining area, and bathroom with a full-size whirlpool tub. Medallion suites are located on deck 7 and are 521 square feet with an 81 square foot veranda. This suite features a living room with sitting area and dining area, teak veranda with patio furniture, and bathroom with a full-size whirlpool tub. Veranda 3 suites are located on deck 6 and are 345 square feet with a 60 square foot veranda. They feature a sitting area, teak veranda with patio furniture, and full-size bath. And lastly, we have the Vista suites. They're located on deck 4 and are 287 square feet, featuring a large picture window and sitting area. The bathroom features a full-size bath.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now I'd like to introduce you to Tara Parker-Pope, one of your onboard experts and the woman you're all here to hear from. So Tara joined the New York Times in August 2007 and is the founding editor of Well, an award-winning consumer health site with news and features to help readers live well every day. She is also a regular contributor to Well, Science Times, and the New York Times Magazine. In 2013, she received an Emmy Award for the Well video series Life Interrupted, which chronicled the challenges of a young cancer patient in her 20s. For her work on Well, Tara won the 2011 Front Page Award from the Newswomen's Club of the New York Online Journalism. Well has also been recognized by the Online News Association's Journalism Awards and by the Association of Healthcare Journalists. Tara also received the Second Century Award for Excellence in Healthcare from the Columbia University School of Nursing. Tara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
So I was wondering if you could just talk quickly about your role at the Times and your work with Well, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Well, I joined the Times about 10 years ago, and the goal at the time was to create a new way of talking with our readers about health. It had always been very medical, kind of doctor focused, and we wanted to form a different relationship with our readers. And so we, a lot of collaboration came up with this concept called Well, which, I've always said of many years of doing this, about 20 years of doing this. I was at the Wall Street Journal prior to the Times, and I also covered health there. And, what I've learned in these 20 years is that health is not something that happens when you go to the doctor. Health happens, it's all the small decisions you make every day to live well. And that by the time you're at the doctor's office, you sort of lose the power to control your destiny as much. So, we really wanted to focus on empowering our readers, arming them with information, and helping, giving them the science-based quality journals that they could trust so that they could make health decisions. And it really has exceeded all of our expectations. I mean, Well started as just a very small, it's pretty much just me and an editor writing a lot, talking to readers online. And it's really emerged into this very strong department at the Times, where we really think every day about what are our readers thinking about and how can we engage our readers in a way that we can continue to be very relevant to them. We know that our readers come to the New York Times for our tremendous journalism and our coverage of national and international issues in politics, and all of our fantastic culture and styles, sports, everything, business, biz day. We offer so much, but what I've always believed, and I think what we're seeing, is that if you want to really keep your readers, you have to help them live their lives every day, and you have to offer them really relevant information, because at the end of the day, what we're all thinking about is, what am I going to make for dinner? How am I going to help my kids with whatever, drama they faced at school? How am I going to get through my teenager just through these years in general? How am I going to help my aging parents? How am I going to take care of myself? And how am I going to tend to my relationship and stay healthy and have the energy and the wellness to just tackle every day? And it's such a personal relationship we have with readers, and that's why I like it so much. And so, 10 years later, Well is thriving, and I've actually taken on a new role where I'm writing more, because I do miss that opportunity to just connect with readers more personally. So, we're still doing this and getting better, I think, every day, and trying to every day find new ways to support our readers and what they're looking for.
That's great. So how did you go about designing the onboard programming for this cruise?
Well, when I was first approached about this, honestly, my first thought was really like, what could we offer, and then I started thinking about who inspires me. And I immediately thought of Jane Brody, because, she's just a legend in this business, and she really pioneered the concept of personal health journalism. She was absolutely the first. She's been doing it for 50 years. She's never missed a column. She's incredibly resilient and healthy and funny and delightful. And every time I've had an interaction with her, just talking with her in the newsroom, I've been inspired, and I've gotten new ideas for just how to live my life a little better. And she has taken readers on so many of her personal journeys, whether it's been her knee replacement surgery, or losing weight, or taking knitting. She's written about knitting, which was one of my favorite stories she's done. When her husband was ill and when he passed away, she let readers in on that experience. And I find her completely inspiring. And I think that I was so hopeful that she would join us, because I just knew that not only would the people on this cruise love to meet her and be inspired, and they would learn a lot from her, but they would also just have just a really great time, because she is really funny and really fun. And I've told people that I'm going on this time's journey with Jane Brody, and people are wowed by that and saying, you are going to have such a good time. So she's a really cool lady. I really think she's a huge draw, and then I think there's a lot of readers who would really want to get to know her. Yeah. So I'm excited about her. And then I thought about, I was just thinking about what people might want to get out of this. I think they want a combination of, I bring this experience of sort of the real person struggling every day with my own family issues and health issues and losing weight and eating healthy. And I kind of bring that every woman's sensibility to my journalism. And Jane just brings years of experience, and she's from a slightly different generation than me. So, between the two of us, we cover a few generations of experiences. And then I thought about Dr. Jordan Metzel, who I have come across and been always so impressed with by his generosity with his time. He's a very successful New York sports medicine physician, and he organizes on a regular basis these free events in the park, in Grand Central Station, on the Intrepid, events for people just to get together and exercise. And they're really fun. He's super motivating. He's very healthy himself, and he can demonstrate all of these exercises. But I have just found him really, really enjoyable and relatable. And every time I spend time with him, I feel like I've I've sort of gotten this energy boost because he's just such a high energy and kind and good person who's donated so much of his time to just helping people get fit. So I thought he would be tremendous for this, and he's very excited about it. The trip coincided with some family events he had going on. In Italy. So it all came together, and it's such a great group. I'm just really excited about it. I think the people on this trip will get just the right amount. They've got a doctor, a sports medicine expert, a fitness expert. They've got, people who have studied health and wellness for a long time, and we all like each other. And I think we all really enjoy getting to know new people and meeting people. So I think that combination is going to make it a really fun time.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing group.
I think
we're going to
really
have a lot of fun with you guys.
I think so. I have to tell you, every time I've ever sat on a panel with Jane Brody, I just sort of let her take over because she's really entertaining. She's very funny, and I just love her. I think, and Jordan, Jordan is just so kind, and he's completely invested when you're talking to him, invested in you and your health and helping you find that inspiration. So I think that it's really a great opportunity for people who, can't get to one of Jordan's events in New York or haven't been to a panel with Jane. I think we're going to have a really good time.
Amazing. So what are you most excited about for this journey besides the amazing company that you'll be in?
Yeah, I think it's just I really like opportunities to meet with people who have been readers. You learn so much from readers. I've always been a huge believer in that, and it's been great. This evolution of the internet and our social media has really helped us as journalists build closer relationships with the people that we are writing for. And I've just learned over the years that if you listen to readers, you can actually create better journalism. Readers have amazing stories to tell, and they inspire me every day. And I just feel like this is really an opportunity for me as much as anybody to just connect with a group of people who care, passionately about health and wellness and aging well and optimism and all these great, these pieces of aging. And I'm just at the point in my life too where, I'm looking for some of these answers and trying to just live well every day. I have an empty nest now. My daughter just went to college, and this is a new chapter for me as well. And so I'm just looking forward to being in a place for a week where I know my job is focused on wellness and being healthy, but it's a lot of time spent at a desk and on the phone. And this is an opportunity to kind of live this experience of wellness in a way that I don't get to every day, because I am gonna be there with Jordan when he's doing those, morning workouts, and I'm gonna take part in the mindfulness sessions. And I'm just really looking forward to immersing myself in a week of being healthy. I've always said that when I'm at my best and my healthiest is actually when I'm on vacation. I know some people think that vacations are a time of indulgence, but actually for me, vacations are a time to really embrace wellness, because you have people cooking for you, so they can make you fabulous healthy food that is delicious, and you have leisure time, so you can de-stress. You can do those things like read a book or exercise you haven't been able to do. And so this is a really fun, I'm technically working, but I'm there to embrace the whole experience and to just really alongside the other passengers, just kind of get the most out of it that I can. Because I think if you can take 7 or 8 days and just focus on your physical well-being and your emotional well-being, I think that you can really jumpstart any kind of health program you want to go on. And I think this is a really good opportunity for people to have fun, to be pampered, but also to take the initiative to say, it's time for me to really focus on myself, and I'm going to spend a week with people who can really help me and give me some great ideas and some inspiration, and we can inspire each other, and hopefully, start another journey, when we get off the boat at the end of the trip, of just general wellness. And I think this is a really good way to kickstart that for people. I hope it is. I hope it is for me.
I'm sure it will be. So what will your role on board be?
Well, I think I think that I'll moderate some of the panel discussions we're going to have. We're going to have a conversation about wellness, what it is and how to get it. And people like Jane and Jordan know a lot about this. And I know a little bit about this as well from my many years of writing about this, the science. So I think that we'll talk we'll use these kind of general panels to get to know everybody and for them to get to know us. A topic that is really near and dear to my heart is motivation. I'm fascinated by what keeps people motivated across the lifespan. I know that when I was a teenager, I had no problem getting up and running 5 miles in the morning for my track team or my cross country team. And I'm like, where did that come from? Like, how could I was so committed, but again, I had a very young body and I just had a lot of energy. And now, the challenge of staying motivated is different, but there's a lot of good information out there and good tricks. So I think we're going to have that'll be a really good conversation. I think each of us is going to have our own, discussions with people, group discussions. And, my hope is that this is a casual kind of interactive experience with people because, it's a small group. We're going to all be together. It's going to be a great conversation. I don't want it to feel like a class or anything like that. I feel like it's going to be very interactive. So I'm bringing some of the things that I care about, but the truth is I'm open to talk about anything that the passengers and that our fellow travelers want to talk about. But one of my areas of expertise is on relationships, really across the lifespan as well, because I wrote a book called For Better, The Science of a Good Relationship. And from that, I've spent a lot of years studying the science of how we interact, whether it's how we resolve conflict with our partner, people in long marriages, people who maybe divorced and are on their second or third marriage, how people are coping with children and grandchildren and just the stresses of life and how it affects your relationship. And the quality of your relationship is so important to the quality of your health. So it feels like a good topic since it's something I spend a lot of time on. I get a ton of questions from readers about relationship science. And so I'm looking forward. I think that'll be a fun discussion. I know Jane is very interested in healthy aging and just aging well in place. She lives it. She's incredibly healthy. And she's just a really good source of information. So I think that's going to be a great conversation. She's also written a lot about social connections, encountering loneliness, and her own experience. She became a widow after many years of marriage and has really focused on the power of social connections. So I think that's going to be a great conversation. And then Jordan, he's a medical doctor. He's there. He can answer any question, and he's very focused on the health benefits of exercise. We all have aches and pains and knees, and I've just personally have asked him a few questions over the years, and he's incredibly helpful. So I think that's going to be a really popular panel. And the one that I'm honestly most excited about, we're going to have this trip. You might be able to know better, but I think we're going to stop and we're going to have an opportunity to tour an olive grove. Is that right? Yeah. I think that's what we're doing. So we're going to stop and we're going to, we are in the Mediterranean, and we're, it's really, I think, a great location because the truth is that Mediterranean living, Mediterranean eating is so healthy, and there's so much evidence that it's never too late to start that lifestyle, and that there are many, many health benefits to eating like a person in the Mediterranean. So I'm fascinated by olive oil, and there is this opportunity. There's an excursion involving olive groves, and so we're going to have a conversation about what you need to know about olive oil, and then we're going to go actually go to the grove and see the olive trees. And I think that sounds really fun. So I'm really looking forward to not only the time on the ship, but also just getting out there in a really beautiful part of the world where people are living very healthful lives and very rich lives that include family and food and wine, and they just don't seem to have the same hang-ups about enjoying what life has to offer. I think in the U.S. we tend to be very restrictive and sort of punish ourselves sometimes. And I think this is a good opportunity to see how people can live very healthy but very complete and full lives. So I'm really looking forward to just this part of the world and getting a glimpse of how people there live their lives.
Yeah, like a new perspective on wellness.
Yeah, I really think it will be.
So if anyone has any questions for Tara, please feel free to submit them. You'll see a panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can type those in. Tara, what have been the most popular topics that you've written about?
Well, readers really want to know everything, to be honest, but the way we have looked at wellness, we divide it into 5 categories. We look at food you eat, what you eat, how much you move, so fitness stories. We look at your family life because that's so essential to happiness and wellness is your family life. We look at issues involving the mind and mindfulness and stress management. And then the 5th issue we call Live, which is really just about living well every day, living well with illness, being an empowered consumer, understanding the medical system. So mostly you can avoid it, but also when you are there, you can navigate it. So I think that readers really just like the mix. They want a complete view of what wellness is. When I first started in health writing, the focus was very much on diet alone. It was on counting calories. It has changed dramatically over the years. Now people realize that health and wellness is not just about what you eat. For many people, a diet or a change in diet is their entry point into living well, into wellness, into that journey. That's what they first start thinking about. But as they get into it, they start seeing this whole world out there where they do have the power to change their lives and make their lives better. They do have the power to find, new ways of fitness and working out that fit into their busy lives. They begin to understand how important just happiness at home and de-stressing their lives and mindfulness in the workplace are. And they want to know about the issues of aging so that they're ready to deal with them. And they might have aging parents, or they might have a child with a developmental disorder. And so it's just a very complete, readers are on a journey, and they really want a complete picture of what it means to be well. So I think if we would do a disservice if we only focused on running or we only focused on dieting, it really needs to be a holistic approach to health and wellness.
So why do you think mindfulness has become so popular recently?
It's really interesting because I especially see it with this new generation, with millennials and younger. They're so much smarter than we were, than my generation. I graduated college in the 80s and, had my family in the 90s. And what I really see in my daughter and even in the young people I work with is there's a real awareness that they need to take care of themselves. It's that whole put on your oxygen mask first that, people talk about, but I see this generation really embracing it. And I just think we've all realized that the world is a really stressful place. And some of us, I just don't know how we get through the day if you don't take a moment and try to get perspective. Somebody explained mindfulness to me, that it's very much like you understand that if you run a really hard workout on a Monday, that you need to rest your body on Tuesday and you need to recover. Or if you run a really fierce 60-second interval workout, you need to take 30 seconds for your body to recover. And if you think about the fact that we're facing so much stress on a daily basis, you have to insert those moments throughout your day where you allow your mind and your body to recover from stress. And if you think about it like an athlete, I think it begins to make a lot of sense why you need to think more. And there's different ways to embrace mindfulness. Some people go all in on the meditation, and other people just sort of do mindful moments. And I think it's a sign of the times. And I think it's also just we're smarter about health and wellness, and we realize this is important.
Mm-hmm. Have there been any articles you've written where you've been surprised by the response they've received?
Let's see. I recently wrote an article about resilience, about how to become resilient in midlife, because most of the science I had read was really on helping children develop resilience. It's such an important quality, and we want to instill that in our kids. And I'm very interested in instilling that in my own daughter. But as I reached a point in life, I started realizing, do I still have the capacity to build resilience and find ways to get better when you face adversity? Because we all have adversity either that we faced or we're going to face. And I did a lot of work on that story. I had a lot of sort of practical advice for how to build resilience, practice optimism and, connect with other people, help other people. There's all kinds of things that we can do. And honestly, millions of people responded to that story. It really resonated. And I think it speaks to the fact that I do think that many of our readers are beyond the traditional kind of health advice. They're really looking for ways to just be better, feel better and do better. And they're taking a really broad definition of what it means to be healthy. So that was really popular. The other story that I was involved with recently, I was actually an editor on this story. It was from a young person whose wife had died from an asthma attack. She was in her 30s. It was a very tragic thing that happened to him and his family. And I had seen a Facebook post, and I reached out to him and I said, this is beautiful would you like to share it with our readers? And maybe, we edited it a little bit to clarify some points for readers, but it was called A Letter to the Doctors and Nurses Who Cared for My Wife. And it was simply, I might get emotional talking about it because it really was a very emotional experience to be involved with. And ultimately, this was not a sad story about the loss of a loved one. It was a story about gratitude. And it was this young man showing incredible gratitude to the people who'd made this horrible week of his life better and who'd given him the privilege of the final moments with his wife, who he loved, and the privacy and the family, and they let the cat come in and visit his wife, and he was so grateful for this powerful, tragic, sad experience he'd had, and that they'd allowed him to have it, and his wife to have it with dignity. And at the time, I think so many people wrote that letter affected them. I think that we really are looking for things bigger than ourselves. And I think this topic of gratitude is really an important one. It fits in with mindfulness and overall being healthy. Gratitude is a really, really powerful thing. And to truly experience it and to have a genuine experience of gratitude, I think people found it incredibly moving. And I learned something from that. I learned a little bit more about our readers and about myself and about just the human condition and why this kind of story is important. We're looking for inspiration every day, whether it's people rising above tragedy or people getting outside of themselves and helping others. I just think that we're right now, the world, we have hurricanes and fires, and we're worried about war, and we have a very intense political discussion in Washington. And I think people are really looking for ways to kind of get beyond that and find meaning elsewhere. And I think that that's something that we can do a lot of on Well and writing about wellness. So those, I would say the story about resilience and the story about gratitude were the two that really had a big impact on me recently.
So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but we talked about how younger generations approach wellness. But so how do you think age makes a difference in how people perceive wellness and what types of wellness topics they're interested in?
But you definitely start caring more about wellness when things start to go wrong. Mm-hmm. I certainly took a lot of things for granted when I was young. And I think if there's a message I can get to young people, it's to recognize that wellness is something that you have to work on and maintain, and you can't just assume it will always be there. But what I find also encouraging is that it's never too late. We have so many examples of people who in their 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s decide to embrace a new way of living, and you can improve your situation. Even if it's just something simple about maintaining function, being able to put away your groceries and get up out of a chair. There's a lot of benefits to just staying able-bodied as we age and to keeping our mind sharp. And I think there's been just more research now. They always say that good health is wasted on the young, and that is a little bit true because you never fully appreciate it. And I don't see a generation of college students being overly concerned about aging, but I do see them caring a lot. I think this generation has grown up with movies about fast food, and there have been a number of documentaries about the perils of fast food. I just look at my own 18-year-old daughter and how she doesn't eat fast food, she doesn't eat packaged food, she eats fruits and vegetables, and she cares a lot about eating healthy. And if she's had a few days of indulgence, she's like, you know what, I really need to focus on just being a little bit more healthy now. And so she's, I see this with her and her friends and with young people in the office, and just, I think it's great. I think they've benefited a lot from a generation that was torn. We had fast food, and then we had sodas and trans fats, and we realized this all was bad. And I think that there's a generation of people now who are benefiting from all that knowledge, and they don't have to sort of go through the mistakes that we made. So there's always a time for it. 20s, 30s, 40s, 80s, you can always make a difference in your wellness. So I think that's what's exciting about this area of writing for me.
So you talked about this a little bit with about the Mediterranean and their approach to health and wellness. But are there any other countries that you think we can really understand wellness from?
Well, this is what's sort of tricky about health writing, because you can pick a number of places in the world. There are these blue zones where there's a lot of 100-year-olds that live in there, and the advice is not necessarily consistent. I think where we make a mistake is that you can't kind of pick and choose and say, well, I'm going to have the wine from the Mediterranean. I'm going to eat the fat from this, that this country's eating, and I'm going to do, this from this country. I think you have to look at these groups of people who have been raised in a certain way of living. People in Japan are generally pretty healthy, and they have a different diet than people in the Mediterranean. And we also have to recognize that we've grown up, many of us, if the listeners now are from the United States, we've grown up in a country with different foods and different childhood experiences. And so I think you just have to pick something that works for you. So if you really love the diet, a book you've read about the diet in China, for instance, there's a very famous book about that, and that works for you, then yes, embrace it. But if you love the Mediterranean lifestyle and that works for you, there's enough science to support that if you really do take that diet and eat it the way that, with the right portions and the right combinations of food, then you'll do fine. I know there's people in Iceland who eat like whale blubber and they're very healthy. Like, this is not an option for most of us. But you can be health. I think health is there's so many variables that influence it. So I think that there are different ways. I mean, I spend a lot of time talking to Gary Taubes. He's one of my favorite people. He writes a lot about low carb eating, no sugar, no added sugar. He lives that life and he embraces it. And I do believe that it works. But I also think there's lots of people in the Mediterranean that do eat carbs and they do eat sugar and they're also healthy. So I think it's just a combination. Like, you can't kind of pick and choose. It's not a cafeteria where you can pick different pieces of each diet and put them together and get the same result. You have to kind of embrace one way of living that's going to work for you, that's going to allow you to keep doing it day after day. And it's not going to feel like a diet. It's going to feel like the way you feel well eating and how you want to eat. And that's what's going to work for you. The diet that works is the one you stay on. And I use the term diet meaning your daily nutritional journey. I don't mean it like your starvation diet. The foods you choose to eat, it needs to be a pattern of eating that works for your life, and making healthy choices within that framework.
Yeah, something sustainable.
Exactly.
What topics are you really interested in covering in the future?
I never run out of ideas. I want to spend more time writing about food issues because I think that it's such a minefield writing about food, and we tend to stay away from it because most of the science is not that credible. A lot of food science is sponsored by industry. I still think there's some stories that we can tell, though, that will help people make better choices. I think food is just inherently interesting. Personally, what I'm really interested in is just the behavior and motivation and decision making around healthy behaviors and healthy living. I wrote the story about resilience. I'm interested in just kind of how we live and the choices we make. And I come across these stories. I've got several stories I'm working on right now. One of them is going to sound kind of silly, but it's not. Women are rethinking the bras that they buy. Mm-hmm. It's about comfort. There's a generation of women that just doesn't want these kind of harnesses that women have worn for so long. I think the way I think millennials especially are influencing health is fascinating, whether it's how people dress, how people take time for themselves, how much time they put in work. Millennials can be very frustrating because sometimes you feel like, do they have the same worth ethic that the generation before them had? But you know what? Usually, I've encountered so many people, young people who say, well, I'm going to spend an hour at the gym and then I'll get to that. And the truth is they're smarter than we were. Like, they're making the right choice. I spent that hour in my chair at my desk. Mm-hmm. And the millennials that are actually embracing, healthy living before work, I totally respect that. And I think we could learn a lot from them. So I'm really interested in just kind of how we're continuing to evolve in terms of our interpretation of health and the differences of generations and just general behavior. I was working on a story about people who cry in the office, and it's not a bad thing. We've always thought it was a bad thing, but there's something good about a person who can show their emotions and who feels passionate about what they're doing. And so I'm just always interested in just a variety of quirky, different stories that will start a conversation. So I can't pick any one topic, but I just think so often in life I'm talking to somebody and I think, you know what, that is a good story. I'm going to write about that. And that's what I do. So that's why it's a fun job.
So I could ask you questions about wellness all day, but we'll do one more.
Okay.
I don't want to run out of time. But how do you decide which topics to cover next?
Well, it's a combination of things. If I think that readers will be interested, I definitely pursue it. If there's a lot of science on it and I know I can tell the readers something that they don't know. So I don't want to take on a story, and it's happened before where I've looked at something and thought, you know, there's just no science on that. I really don't know how I can answer that question. And maybe I'll try to answer it in a really brief way, but I really want to give readers access to what we know and what the research shows. So if something isn't well researched, I don't really like to go there just because what's the point? Because you're just guessing anyway. But you know, things like optimism and stress relief and resilience and you know, writing therapy. You know, there's all these sort of alternative ways of approaching health that there is a fair amount of science on. So that's going to be the main criteria: is can I deliver something to the reader that's science-based and credible and will actually help them make a decision about their health. So I'll write about it if it meets those criteria.
Great. That was also interesting to hear. Thank you.
Well, happy to talk about it anytime. So come with me on the cruise and we'll talk more.
Rebecca will now take us through the day-by-day itinerary and give you a little more detail on what your days will look like during the cruise. Rebecca, over to you.
Thanks. So before I jump into the day-by-day, I want to give a brief overview of the program. There are 5 wellness themes that will be touched upon during this journey: healthy living, food, fitness, reinvention and skills, and relationships and happiness. These exclusive themes will be presented through the following categories of events: discussions and panels, food and beverage events, activities such as meditation, yoga, 9-minute workouts, and mindful time, and shore excursions. Times Journeys will announce a pre-selected, well-themed excursion for each port, which Times Journeys guests may book in advance of the sailing. These excursions are not included and not required, but a New York Times expert will accompany these choice excursions each day. So day 1, welcome to Italy. Arrive in Rome in time to board the Silver Whisper in the late afternoon. Before you board, take time to explore some of Rome's iconic sites, including the Colosseum and its famous fountains and museums. After boarding, meet your fellow Times Journeys travelers and experts at a welcome reception. Day 2, Lipari, Gateway to the Aeolians. After a morning of wellness and discussion and a lively exercise class, arrive in the early afternoon at Lipari, the largest in the Aeolian archipelago, just off the tip of the Italian boot. This mountainous island is less than 15 square miles, but offers typically Mediterranean hospitality and cuisine. Since the Silver Whisper does not depart until late in the evening, you might have dinner in one of Lipari's 4 towns, take an optional sightseeing excursion, or wander on your own to see the 16th century Spanish fortification, which contains the Aeolian Museum, chronicling the island's history from its volcanic beginnings through today. Day 3, Sicily's ancient history. After meditation and an exercise class, arrive early in Trapani at the western tip of Sicily. Founded more than 3,000 years ago, Trapani is packed with ancient buildings, monuments, and churches. You might visit the Cathedral of San Lorenzo with its elegant Baroque facade, or the Pepoli Regional Museum, which covers Trapani's artistic heritage from ancient times to today. Perhaps you will take an excursion to Arice, a medieval town perched on a mountain above Trapani, or participate in a tasting of local olive oils or wine. In the evening, attend a discussion and dinner with your well experts. Day 4, Valletta, City of Contrasts. By now, you're an expert at being mindful on vacation. Spend a long day in Valletta, Malta, a UNESCO World Heritage Site described as one of the most concentrated historic areas in the world. It's also the European Capital for Culture in 2018. In addition to the prehistoric House Safani Hypogeum and modern-day architectural marvels, Valletta also has beautiful gardens and panoramic vistas. You can also take a sightseeing tour or an evening tour of Medina, the Silent City. Day 5, Syracuse, the birthplace of Archimedes. The Silver Whisper arrives early for a full-day visit of Syracuse, where Archimedes was born. A UNESCO World Heritage Site rich in Greek and Roman history, amphitheaters, and natural beauty, Syracuse was once bigger than Athens. You can visit the nearby necropolis of Pontalia, tombs cut into rock dating from the 7th to 13th centuries BC, take a trip to Mount Etna, Europe's most active volcano, attend a wine tasting, or just wander the city. Day 6, Wellness at Sea. Spend the day crossing the Ionian Sea with your well experts discussing health, aging, exercise, relationships, and healthy eating. Remember, these activities are exclusive to Times Journey's passengers. You are also welcome to enjoy the ship's many amenities during this day at sea. Day 7, Ythion, Greece. One of the most beautiful parts of this region of the Peloponnese is the plain of Laconia, which extends from Sparta to the port of Ythion. The many neoclassical houses of this harbor town are built on the slopes of Mount Cromerus. Aside from its remaining ancient theater and cultural museum, visitors can enjoy local beaches and a variety of dining opportunities. Day 8, Athens, end of a journey. After breakfast, the Silver Whisper arrives in Athens, and it's time for you to say farewell to your well experts and your fellow travelers. Optional excursions and extensions are available if you just can't say goodbye.
Now let's just go through some FAQs, and then I'll open it up to any questions you might have about the cruise. So firstly, is international airfare included? So prices do not include flights, and this allows our guests the flexibility to use their air miles to purchase flights and to arrive into whichever airport they prefer. And your tour operator, Judy Pearl Worldwide Travel, will be happy to assist you in purchasing your flights. What documentation is needed to travel? You'll need a valid passport at the time of travel, and if any other visas are needed, your tour operator will assist you in getting those. Are there lectures and activities on board? So as we've heard Tara speak about, there will be exclusive activities and a series of lectures, panel discussions, and Q&As on board, as well as all the wellness activities we also talked about. And will I be able to use the internet or my phone during the trip? Internet packages are available for purchase on board. Please note that the quality of internet service cannot be guaranteed due to the nature of satellite connection, and certain cabin categories will provide internet access. So now, once again, if you have any questions, you can type them into the panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will take a look. So Rebecca, this would be a good question for you. When will excursions be confirmed?
So excursions cannot be booked until 120 days prior, so they'll be announced around that time. It's about 120 days prior to the sail date.
And so we have a question, how many people will be in the Times Journeys group? So our group will be a maximum of 50 travelers, so it'll still be a pretty small group and give you plenty of access to all of our experts and for all the activities. And what is the difference between booking with Times Journeys versus Silversea's? So when you book your cruise with Times Journeys, you'll have access to a number of exclusive events. You'll attend panel discussions and lectures by Times Journeys experts that we discussed earlier on. You'll also have access to Q&A sessions, wellness activities such as yoga, meditation, and cooking lessons with your experts. And all of these activities are exclusive to Times Journeys passengers and will not be open to the rest of the ship. So it's really a unique opportunity, and it's just for our small group of travelers. And Tara, here's a question for you. What drew you to wellness initially as a topic to write about?
So I had always been a consumer products reporter. I was working for the Wall Street Journal at the time, and I was covering like Procter & Gamble, and I was covering Revlon and the makeup companies. And what happens when you do that is that when you start writing about diapers and toothpaste, you start getting into the area of health and parenting. And when you write about Revlon, for instance, they are very involved in breast cancer. So my beat reporting was taking me very close to this area of wellness, and I just started really being interested in and some of the things that they were doing and what I was hearing. And all of this coincided with the birth of my daughter. And I started thinking more about what kind of parent I wanted to be, what kind of employee I wanted to be, what kind of life I wanted to lead, and what were my guideposts. And I just decided I wanted to have work that had meaning and that could help people and that would really engage with people on a personal level. I was covering sort of corporate America. And while it's very interesting and very important, I just wanted a different approach to my journalism. And that's where it all started. And it sounds a little hokey now that I say it, but it's actually a very personal journey for me. And it's meant a lot because I've been able to bring my own life experiences into my work. And I've been able to listen to people and bring their experiences into my work. And I think that we've really pioneered a really, we see a lot what the Times is doing now, really trying to reach readers where they live. We've got Smarter Living, we've got Cooking, but I'm gonna claim that Well started that all. And we were the first, and we really did think about our readers and about what was going on in their lives. So just very relevant journalism to me and to my friends and to the people I was with. So that's why it was just a very personal thing. And I liked it. It's interesting. And there's always something new. And it's great. Like if I'm sort of dealing with something personally, I'm like, I'm going to write a story about that. And I'll just call somebody up and say, let's talk about this, or if I see a story about banned books or something, I'll talk to Dr. Perry Class, who writes for us, and say, why don't you write a story about children and reading and the impact it has, and should we talk to them about banned books? And she actually wrote us a great column about that. So it's fun. It's just fun to write about life, basically. That's how I got interested. But it all started because I was writing about toothpaste. I'm not kidding. I was writing a lot about Crest and Colgate, and it got me in the world of health. And then I started writing I was covering Playtex. I did a story about sippy cups. And so I kind of got into this world about parenting, and I did a big story on diapers and toilet paper. And it's fascinating. And I think about it every time I use my Swiffer sweeper and different products in my house. I think about my days covering that world of consumer products. But that's what got me interested in health and wellness.
That's such an interesting gateway into writing about this. That's really cool. So we'll do one more question. I'm conscious that we're running out of time. But what has been your favorite topic to write about?
Oh, this is a hard one because I tend to love whatever I'm writing about at that moment. But I have to say that one thing Well did is we defined health very broadly. And compared to a lot of other people, we were one of the first to really say that health is a lot about your family and your relationships. And so I've really enjoyed there's sort of a joke at Well that I can turn anything into a Well story. I actually saw Beyonce at the Grammys singing, and I knew she was pregnant with twins. And I was like, how does she do that? Because I know those twins were like pressing on her diaphragm. And I was like, this is a Well story. And I asked a reporter, and she ended up writing this fascinating story about singing while pregnant, which at that moment was what was interesting to me. So that's fun. But I really do like the family coverage. And I think it's just so relevant to our daily lives because it's raising your kids. It's your relationship with your partner. It's friendships. I once wrote a story about friendship. And the reason I knew the story was a huge hit is because I had, and I'm not making this up, I had like 5 different friend groups from like college, high school, old jobs, maybe living in London, these different sort of parts of my life. And so I was on different email strings, and all of these people, not realizing that I wrote the story, forwarded to like 10 of their girlfriends, and I was on those different lists. And so I always know a story is resonating with people when my own friends are sending it to me, not realizing that I wrote it, but it meant something to them. And the story about friendship, women in friendship, that's just such a powerful topic. And so I believe, that's about wellness and health. And I think what we really pioneered is defining health in such a broad way, but bringing science to it. And this is really the science of friendships and the science of social connections, which is something Jane's really embraced in her writing as well. So I really do like relationship stories, but at the same time, give me a story about behavior, about motivation. I'm really interested right now in self-discipline. Like how can you make yourself more self-disciplined? So that story is coming from me at some point soon. Whatever story I'm working on, I'm very passionate about it at that moment because it's just really fun to talk to the scientists, talk to the experts, talk to people out in the world and get their sort of anecdotal experiences and weave it all together in a story that resonates with our readers. It's actually quite fun to do it.
Yeah, just listening to you talk about all these topics, they all sound interesting to me. So I imagine it must be hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah, it's really hard. I really don't have a favorite.
Okay, so thank you everyone for your questions. And thanks Tara and Rebecca for answering those. So just to wrap up and give you a quick summary of the cruise, this is an 8-day cruise departing on June 7th, 2018. And the starting cost is $5,380 with a deposit of $1,000. As you can see, we have a number of cabin categories to choose from. We have the Vista Suite, which starts at $5,380, the Veranda Suite from $6,625, the Medallion Suite from $9,210, the Silver Suite from $9,625, although as you can see, this category is sold out at this time, but you can certainly call to be put on a wait list for it. And the Royal Suite, which starts at $11,485, and the Grand Suite from $11,900. So if you do have any other questions or you'd like to book or find out more about this itinerary, please call our reservation specialists at 855-698-1125, or you can visit our website where you can find the complete itinerary online. So thank you so much to Tara for joining us today. It was really a pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to this week. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think so. And thank you, Rebecca, for joining us as well.
Of course, happy to.
And thanks everybody for listening, and we hope to see you on board.